Please welcome the creator, star, and producer of Cuban Fury, Nick Frost.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. You know what I mean? Please don't break. That'd be awful. I'd kill myself. I would kill myself.
Well, what a start that would be, yeah. If you killed yourself, that'd be awful.
Yeah.
Don't do that, please.
Maybe more people are going to see the film.
True. If I introduced you as the creator, star, and producer of Cuban Fury, that wasn't an accident, because this was all yours. You were doing it in a way. You sent a 3 a.m. email, wasn't it, to the producer? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit drunk. I'd always had a secret, a dirty little secret, and that was I wanted to be a dancer. But I never told anyone. I kind of liked dancing, but the very notion that I could and even should be a dancer seemed ridiculous. And so one night, full of wine and special brew, I sent Naira, our producer, a kind of angry email saying, "Hey, how about?" And I kind of just pitched the whole thing. And I went to bed, and I kind of woke up the next morning before I had my child, so I kind of woke up kind of late and had a really horrible feeling that I'd done something awful. And it was only when I checked my inboxes and I saw a message from Naira, my producer, saying, "Hey, that's a great idea," that it dawned on me just what terrible trouble I was going to be in. I think, like a kind of serial, like the Zodiac killer, I wanted to get caught, essentially. And I was kind of relieved and terrified when I did get caught, because I knew I would then have to commit to it.
Well, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think, what was the worst that could have happened from that email?
What actually happened? What actually happened was the worst that could have happened.
So 7 months of dance training.
Yeah.
15 months later, you guys were on set for the first time.
Yeah. I think in my worst it could happen scenario, I get shot in the shoulder. So I was one under that. So I was all right. There's, someone comes in to rob Pineapple. I foil the robbery and take a 38 through the shoulder. That was the worst case. So this is probably like one better.
So a little bit of blood loss, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You'd be okay.
Not the emotional bleed out that I suffered on the dance floor every day.
By the way, did you make any sort of inappropriate purchases as well when you were sending this email at 3 in the morning? Did you wake up the next morning and go, "Oh, did I just buy that? What am I doing?"
No, that's a fairly recent thing. I've only just got those things that you can just buy things with the click of a button. So my wife keeps coming up to me and saying things like, "Did you just buy a first edition Day of the Triffids?" "Oh, did I? Yeah, I guess I must have." So I've kind of been barred from buying things.
Okay. So why salsa?
I think I worked at a Mexican restaurant when I was a younger man, and the management would send hundreds and hundreds of hours of salsa music for us just to play on a constant loop while we served really angry businessmen, but just kind of mediocre hamburgers. And I think I was afraid of it, and I was kind of terrified and sick of hearing it. And it just felt like the thing that I wanted to conquer most was my hatred of that.
And you'd never danced salsa before? You'd never...
No, not at all. I mean, my dance history was, I think, headbanging, because I was a heavy metal kid. Then I loved the Happy Mondays,
yeah.
So it was a lot of bezzing going on. And then the Stone Roses, which was simple because it was just this. Perfect dance. And then I was a raver for years and years.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a one or a two-fist pump combo. So it was easy, doing that kind of dancing. But having to do this, I think the training was pretty hard anyway. But having to, this is going to sound weird because it sounds like something you just set after straight away, but having to hold another woman was really weird for me. I can feel myself becoming slightly Hugh Granted now, thinking about it. I put my hand here and just, oh, good Lord, I'm so sorry. And Susanna, who's in the film, who was my teacher, she just kind of throw herself into me. "No, like this, and it's like, oh God, I can feel them. So it took a while, It took a while before you realise that that's not what salsa music is about. It is about that, but it's also about just finding someone who you are matched with, and dancing with them, and enjoying that for what that is. Not what it could potentially lead to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first day you turn up at Pineapple Dance Studios, Were you aware of what you were going to get yourself into? Had you been looking on YouTube at videos and going, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this"?
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but I never. It was just terrible, you know. I think because there's so many different dances going on there, and there's so many different people and people trying out, and just hope. There's so much hope in that building that I could be picked, you know. It could be me. And we trained in this tiny little glass box full of mirrors down in the basement.
Right.
And I think you have to walk down these stairs, and they store people on the stairs waiting to go into. So me walking down these tiny stairs while there are kind of 50 ballerinas all just looking at me as if to say, "Why are you here? Why you don't belong here?"
Right.
What are you doing? Are you cleaning the toilets?
Yeah.
It was. I just felt. I felt like, what have you done? What have you done? Because also it's that thing now that wheels are in motion and there is money, there is a budget. So you can't pull out. You can't. I'm the producer. I can't now say, can we not do it? Can it be about a man eating a big wedding cake? I'll do 7 months training for that. I probably would need 7 months. But yeah, the training. Let me just say, the training period for Cuban Fury for me was 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 7 months. That's all I did was dance all the time, and it got to a point where it was like I worked at Pineapple. Morning, Alan. You know,
so you work in the toilets, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of, you know, I mean, it took about 3 or 4 months before there was a click and it felt like I belonged and I could dance. And then it never really got easier because the better and better you got, the more and more they put on you, you know.
What about things like muscle strains or blisters? Did anything you suffer from any of those?
No, not at all. The worst thing was, and it probably took 9 or 10 months after we finished shooting, but my feet went numb, essentially. The last, 3 toes on my left and 3 toes on my right.
Oh, lovely.
So every morning I'd spend... But you do that thing where you just come and sit down, but with your legs out, and you'd kind of have a stretch, and then you'd tape your feet up and squeeze into these tiny pumps, and it felt like I belonged at one point, you know.
Fantastic.
But it took age. Apparently dancers, if you dance long enough, you don't feel your feet anymore, which is kind of weird.
We got a clip coming up now which showcases there's 2 different levels, I guess, you're dancing in this movie, because your character Bruce, I don't know if you want to explain who Bruce is first of all before we get into this.
Oh well, Bruce, I play Bruce, and he's we start the film with Bruce, and he's a 14-year-old dance master, and it's the eve of the national finals, and he and his sister Sam, who's played by Olivia Colman, they really are quite amazing. And then on the eve of the big national finals, something terrible happens, and Bruce decides to turn his back on the world of salsa forever. And then we jump forward 25 years, and that young man with fire in his heels has now become overweight, sad sack Bruce Garrett, 41. And yeah, his life is kind of in a rut, and he's not sure what to do with his life. He doesn't really like doing anything. He's happy riding around on his little Brompton and eating 4 yogurts. And, you know, that's his life, really. And he doesn't really have anything. So when he meets Rashida Jones's character, Julia, it just ignites something in him again. And he follows her. They're in a pub one night, and he sees her, and she goes up the stairs to the function room, and he follows her up, and he opens the door, and she is doing salsa, as you saw on the trailer there. And it blows him away, and he decides that he's going to get up off his arse and to do it again, to find salsa and to start to dance, to impress this girl.
And so to do so, he goes back to his former mentor.
Yeah, Ian McShane.
And
playing himself, weirdly.
And here, in a strange way, he gets his bottom handed to him. So let's have a quick look at this clip, and then we'll talk about it later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Oh, wow.
Whenever I watch that, I'm reminded of the Slumber Down Duck and Hippo. If they ever do a live-action film of those adverts, then I think I'm shooing.
Who was that lady?
That was Janet Fuentes, who's amazing.
Yeah.
She works with Shakira, and I think she's bum doubled for Shakira. And her hips, they don't lie either. You've seen them. But she did. We trained a lot together, and she did this movement. She could do this movement where she moved her bum on on like 6 different planes. I don't even know if there are 6 planes, and it was a move that I coined. We called it the tsunami because you couldn't get out of the way of it, and B, it was so compelling that you just knew it was going to hit you, and there was nothing you could do to stop it. She was amazing, you know. She, I mean, to a woman, to a man, everyone who I danced with had nothing but support for me, and it was an amazing thing that would be the case. I never once in that 7-month period felt that perhaps, and they would kind of be forgiven for this, that they would perhaps laugh a little bit about me, or laugh that I can't do it like they can. Yeah. But I didn't. I mean, if they did, they were really good at doing it on their own when I wasn't in the room.
Yeah, and without giving too much away, at one point, you know, for a man who has said in the past you had a fear of dancing. Yeah. You had a dance in front of, was it 500?
500
dancers,
people. Yeah. Yeah, the finale was at Coco in Camden Palace. And it was a dance-off in front of 500 of the country's, if not Europe's, best salsa dancers. And it was, for someone who has a fear of dancing in front of people, it was terrifying, really. It was. I think I was so happy that I had Rashida Jones there and Olivia Colman, because essentially we could just look at one another and phase everyone else out and just work through what we were going to do. Because all the dancing is me. So that big live 3-minute show dance at the end was me doing a live 3-minute show dance. But it kind of took 2 or 3 days to shoot. So it was terrifying. And the salsa community who came out every day, and you know, they were there for 7 days, I think, while we shot this. They were so energetic and giving, and the cheering never lagged, and it was just such a positive thing to be able to do that with those people there to support you. It could have been so different if, you know, because any kind of live performance, you feed off what the audience gives, essentially, if you're performing. Hint, hint. So
more.
So yeah, I mean, it was. I thank you. Yeah. It was. It was pretty amazing.
But when I was talking about different levels in your dancing now, what I meant was, obviously you did 7 months of training. By the end, Bruce is back to his brilliant best. Yeah. In that scene, you have to dance poorly.
Badly, yeah.
Deliberately. Yeah. How difficult was that?
It was difficult because by that point, we should have shot that first thing we should have done like a pre-shoot and shot that a month into training, you know, because a few times during rehearsal, me and Yannick danced that, and it looked fantastic, and everyone said, "No, you can't do it like that." Yeah. It was like, Les Dawson playing the piano badly. Yeah, you have to be able to play well before you can play badly.
As Yoda said, you must unlearn what you have learned.
Thanks, Chris. Yes.
Did you?
Oh, for the Vodafone advert.
Yeah, good old Yoda.
Have I unlearned it?
Yeah.
I've unlearned some of the steps, but as I've said a couple of times, I think that the fire deep within me burns strong, and I don't think that's ever going to go out. I mean, obviously it will eventually, but not for a while.
It's another depressing segue. Let's have another lovely clip, shall we?
Brilliant.
Yeah, this one features Chris O'Dowd. Can you explain who Chris O'Dowd plays in this one?
Chris O'Dowd is like my enemy in this, which is really difficult because he's a really good friend. And if you look at me and Chris, if you go and see the film, I'm not sure how far this clip's going to go. I can never look at Chris in the eye, and you might argue that it's because he's a bully and he's kind of subjugated Bruce, and you know, Bruce doesn't want to look him in the eye. But it's because I couldn't look Chris in the eye because he's so inventive in terms of his comedy that it's not fair when you work with Chris because he does something different every time. So just when you think, okay, I know what he's going to say, I'm good. He'll say something completely different, and then it's bad again, you know.
Right. But
yeah, he's Drew. He's bad to the bone. But like most bullies, like most, you know, he's hurting. Let's have a look at a clip.
Indeed. Did Chris improvise the chest bite?
No. It was all.
It looked like it was raw and passionate. In the moment.
He really. Yeah, I mean, it was there. He thought, yeah, let's have a nibble. That's the kind of actor he is.
Do you still bear the scars to this day?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you might. Romantically scars as well?
Yeah, both.
I thought so, yeah.
Physical, yeah.
Let's take some questions from you guys
Yes.
now. There's so many of you, so put your hands up if you want to ask Nick any questions. And we have roving microphones going around. Do not be shy. You haven't come all this way to be shy.
Don't be shy. If you prefer, we can all close our eyes and someone just shout one.
If not... Oh, there's one there.
Yes,
right at the
brave
back.
soul.
Right at the back. Right at the back.
If cameraman, if I stand, will that be an issue for you? Yes, it will. Okay, fine.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us this evening.
Thank you for asking a question. That would have been really awkward if we just sat and, just watched the clock disappear.
I would have stared them out.
It's my pleasure. I'm quite nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Thanks.
What's the worst that can happen?
Bullet through the shoulder.
What? Yeah, but if you survive,
Oh,
you've got a great story.
Great story, a good scar.
And you're always going to get laid.
Well, that's true.
Hang on, I just want to see what the lady doing the sign language signs for always going to get laid. Bosh.
Worth it. Worth it.
It was worth it. What's your question?
My question was, well, you mentioned earlier how you used to work in a restaurant and you came to acting relatively late compared to other people. I was wondering, what do you think you'd be doing now if you never got into acting?
I think I would probably be an area manager for city centre restaurants, and I'd probably have 6 Chiquitos under my umbrella.
It's not bad.
In Southampton and the southeast. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never really. This is going to sound bad, but I've never really been that bothered in terms of as a youth. I never panicked about what I'd do and what I wouldn't do. I just had a really odd inkling that somehow it would be all right. Now, as a father now myself, if my son was to come to me at one point and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but you know what? I think it's going to be all right, I'd probably hit the roof. But yeah, I mean, it just happened. It just happened. I met Simon and we made each other laugh for like 2 or 3 years, and then he wrote Spaced, and then it just snowballed from there, really. But I saw an option. I saw an opportunity, and that something in me said, that's it, that's the one, and I took it, and that was Spaced.
Indeed. Incidentally, what would an area manager take home?
I reckon he'd probably do 41.
That's not bad.
41k in a company car.
I'm quitting my job immediately. Okay, so any other questions for Nick? Yes, please, right over here. See the floodgates open.
Yeah, you've started it now. Well done.
Thanks. Hello.
Hello.
Do you think it's sad that we quote all of the stuff you've been in every day?
No, I think it's amazing. I'm really flattered by that. I think it's testament to Edgar and Simon's amazing script writing. Unless it's Paul you quote, and then that's my script writing as well. But no, I mean, I think it's nice to make films that people remember and enjoy for years and years and years. I think it would be worse if you made films that no one gave a fig about, Just want to see what the sign is for fig. There it is. I don't know if that is fig.
What quote do you get most?
What's your favourite quote?
You've got red on you. You've got red.
You got red on you.
Actually, no.
Think about it later. Have a chat. Grab me on the way out. This lady right at the back with the red hair, you had your hand up.
So I read somewhere, because I did some online stalking, that your friend Simon Pegg introduced you to great films by showing you Woody Allen movies.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Woody Allen movie, and why do you connect with them?
My favourite Woody Allen movie is Annie Hall, and then Manhattan, obviously. And I connect with them. When I was a kid, I wasn't this man. I was a rugby player, and I liked to drink, and I was an Essex man, and I was an idiot, and I didn't really think about film. I'd watch a film. I remember going to watch Roger Rabbit, and Nigel Benn, the world championship boxer, sat behind me and nicked my popcorn. For me, that's what cinema was. Cinema was not Woody Allen, But inside that little boy, there was, I think, always a romantic and someone who, for want of a better term, relished the anguish of unrequited love. And so when I saw Woody Allen, it spoke to me personally, I think. And that never left me, that feeling of being in love and it not being returned, or it being returned and then you don't want it, now you've got it, that... I love that, and it woke something in me.
I'm afraid I don't have a question nearly as deep as those, but I do have to ask, what is your favourite flavour of cornetto?
Oh, okay. I think strawberry.
Yeah?
It's nice. I mean, it's so synthetic. There's no fruit. I mean, there's maybe 1% of fruit in that thing. But because of that, I think I like it. I like the cheapness in certain food. I like cola over Coke, etc. So, yeah, that's... Okay, thanks.
Yes, please, right over here. Thank you.
I was going to say, do you prefer working by yourself, like in Cuban Fury or like Attack the Block, or do you prefer working with Edgar and Simon?
I don't mind. Different deal, different gig. You know, it's I love working with Edgar and Simon. They're my best mates. But if you imagine that we're just having a laugh all the time, it's complete. You know, I kind of have more of a laugh on Cuban and Attack the Block, because when we do World's End or, you know, Paul or Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead, we are there to work, and what we want to shoot is so, in terms of scale, so vast that we could probably put another month on the end of our schedule and still struggle to get it in. So if you were to come on set every day and just muck about and put cling film on each other's toilets, etc., as you hear movie stars doing all the time, we'd never ever finish. You know, when we get on set, and let me just say, making a film is amazing and fun anyway, but it's also hard work. So you're up at 5 a.m. and you probably don't get home until 9:30 or 10, 6 days a week for 12 weeks. So, you know, that's what we need to do to be able to make those films. And so, you know, when I make Cuban Fury, Attack the Block was amazing, because I was there for like 3 weeks and I was the oldest person on set, and everyone was, you know, it was great. I felt like that was the first time I felt like what I thought Bill Nye must feel like all the time, you know, just the older statesman. Hey Nick, you're right, you know, it was pretty good. But I'm happy either way, you know. I like making films and television, so I don't mind who it's with. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a yes lady over here, and then let's go right over here as well.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a film studies graduate, and I studied Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz as part of my dissertation, so I spent 3.5 months watching those films back to front and sideways.
You're never going to get that back.
No.
You'll never get that time back.
I know, it's fine, I don't mind. So
you could have been on a kibbutz.
I could have been. So my question is, if you had to spend 3.5 months on a desert island watching one film over and over again, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's the kind of question I wish you'd tweeted me earlier. Why does part of me want to say The Fifth Element? I do like The Fifth Element a lot.
Lilo Dallas Multipass.
Maybe... I love Close Encounters. That's one of my favourite films. That, or maybe the film with Tina Margarina, Andre, about the seal. So let's say Andre.
Yes, please, over here. Is there electricity on this island, by the way? How are you going to watch a film?
Is there electricity?
Yeah, there is. Okay, good.
Hi, greetings from Melbourne.
Hello, you know you're in London?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
This Skype's amazing,
Can't
isn't
miss
it?
Anyway, in the trailer we saw that there was a bit where you sort of flip off a car, did a spin.
Yeah, that was
that
me.
you? Or?
No. I've smashed the movie magics. No. The only time I got hurt was the kind of section before that. There's a scene where I lift Chris O'Dowd over my head, and we kind of did it with some wire work, and it kind of went wrong a bit, and I really kind of pulled all the muscles in my neck. So then when we went to shoot that, I just couldn't do it, and I was secretly quite happy, because those wires are so thin. I think no, surely not.
Yes, please. I think there was one other hand up over here. Yes, please.
Hello. You said you like doing film and TV stuff. Is there anything you like doing other than that, like crochet?
Crochet?
Or just anything?
I'm a cook. I was a cook before I was an actor, and I love cooking. And I spend... This is going to sound like I'm a loony, but cooking is probably the only thing I do that silences the voices. And I don't know if you're into... People have it with gardening too, or golf, but I don't think about anything but cooking when I'm cooking. And it's a dream, because usually my head is like someone has kicked a a hornet's nest at a wall. I'm all right. I'll be all right.
That's good. That's good.
You know, so that's the only thing I do. That's the only thing I think I'm thinking about that. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And crochet, of course.
Crochet Fury is going to be the sequel, I'm sure. Yes, please. Right over here by the speaker. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My question, I'm a screenwriting student at the moment at Southampton. Do you have any tips for the writing side of film?
Keep at it, you know. I know it sounds a really simple thing to do, but just write. Write all the time. When I'm not shooting, I write all the time. I just go into my office and I sit and I just write stories, or, you know, I'm kind of always working on 2 or 3 films at any one time at different points, you know. And also, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in terms of what you've put on the page, because it's about you. And, you know, I don't think you can let anyone... Obviously, if the grammar's terrible, that's a different thing. But in terms of the concept and your dream, which is what that is, that's entirely, completely personal, up to you. And I don't think there's no, you know, it's not like catwalk modelling. You're not going to get to 24 and think, that's it, I'm done. You know, it's the more you experience in your life, the better your writing will be, I think, is the longish answer.
Some people recommend reading a lot of screenplays. Do you do that as well?
No, I don't read anything. I have that thing that I just kind of write it as if I was a 12-year-old at school. And then the thing did this, and then that happened, and then, you know, I just get it all out. And it's never going to be finished, you know. If that's what you need to do to get a first draft away, then you just go and you refine and you hone, and, you know, it's never quite finished. So there's so much time in terms of that. You never have to produce the finished item straight away. And even when you're shooting a film script, you have to edit it. That's another go at the script, you know. You have so many chances to get it right. So when, you know, when we see films and the script's terrible, there's no excuse for that. That's the heart of a film. That's the cornerstone of it, you know.
We have time for 2 last questions. I believe there's a lady just to your right. Actually, if you can just pass the microphone along. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I spent about 4 years at uni watching spaced reruns, like, constantly. Some great friendships were formed. Possibly my favourite character that you've played.
Mike.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
How much fun was he to play? And did you guys know that it was going to become something so cold?
No, not at all. You know, I mean, even The World's End and Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, we just go forward. We never look back, you know. We just look for the next thing, and we don't dwell on past victories, and we're always looking for the next thing in terms of keeping it fresh and going forward. So we never thought that, you know, you hope that it will be a hit, and then when it is, you're kind of surprised by it, but we don't dwell on that. And I think in terms of Mike, I love playing Mike. That was the first time I'd ever acted, and it was really terrifying. But again, you know, I said to that guy when I was acting in front of these people and the crew were laughing, and, you know, Jess was laughing, it really felt amazing. It felt like I belonged here, you know. And if you have that kind of atmosphere on a set, and you work with people who you admire, and you know, you want to do your best work for those people. And Mike was an amalgam of my mate Flea, he was one of those characters who you get to the age of 40 now and you think, what did I ever see in Flea? You know, he was like he probably weighed like 30 stone, and he was like a massive, generous lump. But, like, he was like 28, but he'd phone his mum at 4 a.m. crying and get her to get up and pick us up at like 4 in the morning. But he'd do it all the time. So he was half Flea and half a guy I knew called John, who was a bartender at Chiquito's, who used to tell these amazing bullshit stories about his time in the TA that none of us ever believed. And then about 2 years ago, I was flicking through the paper, and there was a picture of John with about 50 guns protecting David Cameron. And it turned out that all those stories were in fact the truth. So yeah, he was those two people kind of put together.
Have you heard from Flea since?
No, I haven't.
No?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I bet his mum's probably still picking him up.
And I think we've got time for one last question. I think you had your hand up right here in the middle. Yes, please.
I gotta ask you, how much of the dance scenes were you or the stunts? Because I remember you said in an interview that you didn't want to make a movie which they would film your face and someone else would make the dance move with the feet and the hands and everything. And I gotta say, your body work is amazing. Not only Cuban Fury, but in The World's End. Because I saw The World's End and you got impressed that you could make all that fight scenes, you know. So that's it.
I feel really
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make a film where I did all the dancing. That was the point. I think there's like a percent or 2% of the stuff in there that I didn't do. When he's dancing, later on you see him dancing on top of a car, and we wanted that to be very specific kind of salsa, which is Colombian. So I'm not sure why the Colombian footwork's so quick. So I just couldn't do it. Try as I might, I couldn't do it. I could do the shapes and the steps, but it was not quick enough. So that's not me. And there's like one bit later on in the dance-off that wasn't me. But the rest of it is all me. And I think the good thing about World's End was I shot this before World's End. So after all the dance training, it meant that the fights in World's End, for me personally, looked slightly more balletic. You know, I could get quick turns and the flow looked nice.
You got more flexible.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Time, one more, quick one.
One more. There was a gentleman.
Shout out.
Wow. Okay.
Did I continue dancing or did I just quit it after the film? I continued to dance a little bit, but it's difficult because you go from bit to bit to bit to bit. So, you know, I think I've been probably 3 or 4 times to clubs afterwards, but my wife doesn't dance. So on a Friday night, having to explain to my wife, who's putting our screaming child to bed, hey, I'm going to go out for 6 hours and dance with a 22-year-old girl from Madrid. I'll see you in the morning. It doesn't cut the mustard. So it's just really difficult, you know. But we dance a lot. We dance at home a lot, and my baby loves to dance, and which is weirdly the name of my new album, which is out in September.
There is one guy who's had his hand up for about 35 minutes.
Yes,
so we'll take this last question.
So you have written and directed so much so far. There's one script that you have done when you were young, when you recently started, and you want to make it a movie now.
I thought I had this terrible fear then. I wrote a novel when I was 21 called An Alcoholic's Guide to the Holy Land. I lived in Israel for 2 years between like 18 and 20, and the way your question was going suggested that you had a copy of it, which I was really panicking about. Because I wrote it for a girl, because I fell in love with a girl, and I wrote her a novel to show off. And she has it, and I've never seen her since, so that's out there somewhere. But no, not really. When I was a kid, I never wanted to act, but I always kind of wanted to be a writer. And as a younger man, I was into Solzhenitsyn, and I loved his. You know, I love that whole. This goes back to what I was saying to you about kind of unrequited love, but I like that whole thing of being really cold with an itchy blanket on, eating a really watery soup, writing a horrible story about a girl that broke my heart. You know, that's kind of where I'm from, which it makes a horrible film. So no.
Oh, you can try.
I've lightened up a lot since my youth. So yeah, maybe when the Alcoholic's Guide to the Holy Lands resurfaces, we can work on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the time we have.
Thank you very
Cuban
much.
Fury's out on Valentine's Day. Thanks so much for coming. Thank you to Nick Frost.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers. It seemed ridiculous, and so one night, full of wine and special brew, I sent Naira, our producer, a kind of angry email saying, "Hey, how about?" And I kind of just pitched the whole thing. And I went to bed, and I kind of woke up the next morning before I had my child, so I kind of woke up kind of late and had a really horrible feeling that I'd done something awful. And it was only when I checked my inboxes and I saw a message from Naira, my producer, saying, "Hey, that's a great idea," that it dawned on me just what terrible trouble I was going to be in. I think like a kind of like the Zodiac killer, I wanted to get caught, essentially, and I was kind of relieved. and terrified when I did get caught because I knew I would then have to commit to it. Headbanging because I was a heavy metal kid. Then I loved the Happy Mondays.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of bezzing going on. And then the Stone Roses, which was simple because it was just this. Perfect dance. And then I was a raver for years and years.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a one or a two fist pump combo. So it was easy, you know, doing that kind of dancing. But having to do this, I think one of the hard... I mean, the training was pretty hard anyway. But having to... this is going to sound weird because it sounds like something you just set after straight away. But having to hold another woman was really weird for me. I can feel myself becoming slightly Hugh Granted now, thinking of that. I put my hand here and just... Oh, good Lord, I'm so sorry. You know, and so my wife keeps coming up to me and saying things like, "Did you just buy a first edition Day of the Triffids?" Oh, did I? Yeah, yeah, I guess I must have. So I've kind of been barred from buying things.
Okay. So why salsa?
I think I worked at a Mexican restaurant when I was a younger man, and the management would send hundreds and hundreds of hours of salsa music for us just to play on a constant loop while we served really angry businessmen, just kind of mediocre hamburgers. And I think I was afraid of it, and I was kind of terrified and sick of hearing it. And it just felt like the thing that I wanted to conquer most was my hatred of that.
And you'd never danced salsa before? You'd never...
No, not at all. I mean, my dance history was, I think...
Please welcome the creator, star, and producer of Cuban Fury, Nick Frost.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. You know what I mean? Please don't break. That'd be awful. I'd kill myself. I would kill myself.
Well, what a start that would be, yeah. If you killed yourself, that'd be awful.
Yeah.
Don't do that, please.
Maybe more people are going to see the film.
True. If I introduced you as the creator, star, and producer of Cuban Fury, that wasn't an accident because this was all yours. You're doing it in a way. You sent a 3 a.m. email, wasn't it, to the producer? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit drunk. I'd always had a secret, a dirty little secret, and that was I wanted to be a dancer. But I never told anyone. I kind of liked dancing, but the very notion that I could and even should be a dancer.
Well, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think what was the worst that could have happened from that email?
What actually happened? What actually happened was the worst that could have happened.
So 7 months of dance training.
Yeah.
15 months later, you guys were on set for the first time.
Yeah. I think in my worst it could happen scenario, I get shot in the shoulder. So I was one under that. So I was all right. There's, someone comes in to rob Pineapple. I foil the robbery and take a 38 through the shoulder. That was the worst case. So this is probably like one better.
So a little bit of blood loss, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You'd be okay.
Not the emotional bleed out that I suffered on the dance floor every day.
By the way, did you make any sort of inappropriate purchases as well when you were sent this email at 3 in the morning? Did you wake up the next morning and go, did I just buy that? What am I doing?
That's a fairly recent thing. I've only just got those things that you can just buy things with the click of a button.